looks like we're starting to see some of the encouraging economic news translate into positive real estate moves in the DC real estate market. My name is Mark. I'm a team leader and a real estate agent here in Washington, D.C. with Search Real Estate Group. It's Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022. It's the day before Thanksgiving, but since it's Wednesday, that means it's this week's Washington Real Estate Update. So I don't think we're all rainbows and butterflies at this point. I don't think we're completely out of the woods, but we're seeing a lot of positive indicators, and I think that data is worth looking at. So let's pop on over to my other screen, and what we're really paying attention to are these greenish numbers here. That's this week versus last week. So I'm going to skip over new listings and new showings. Those are down, but everything else is up, and I'll tell you why we're going to skip over those in a minute. But new closed sales, how many homes closed this week versus last week? Up almost 36%, plus 36. New purchase contracts, how many people are under contract this week versus last week? Up 5.5. New pendings per 100 new listings. Every 100 new listings, the percentage of those that are under contract this week over last week, plus 15%. So really positive things there that make me think, okay, maybe the buyers are coming back. And again, we did see one of the largest interest rate decreases in history happen a couple weeks ago. So that probably played into this a little bit. But we're skipping new listings and we're skipping showings because, let me pop back here, we talked about it last week, the cyclicality of the market, right? We are getting into tomorrow's Thanksgiving, Christmas and Hanukkah. You have family in town. You're not really paying attention to real estate. If you were going to buy in 2022, most likely you did already, or you are currently under contract. So you're not really going to be reflected in these numbers going forward. So I'm not worried about new showings. I'm not worrying about new listings coming into the new year. We'll go and take a look at these charts again, but we see them historically trending downward into Christmas, and then they'll pop back up for the rest of the year, but that's why we're not too worried about it now. So we'll hop back over here, and we'll slide down. Again, new closed listings. What I love seeing here is this little uptick, but we have to look historically to see whether or not this is new information or if it's something that we should think about seeing every year over year. So we normally see this little uptick the week of Thanksgiving, right before the holidays. So we're this orange line here this week. The blue line is 2021 last year. 2020 is this green one, and gray is 2019. So every week for the past 3 years, we've seen this bump, right? So it's still good news, but I like that we're following the trend, which means maybe things are returning to normal a little bit. We'll see. New purchase contracts. Again, we did see a slight increase 2021 and 2020. 2019, we all know what was happening at that point. So that year is absolutely an anomaly, but it's still important to factor into this data. But we're seeing the uptick here, a little flat here in 2021. A nice little tick up for new purchase contracts week over week this year, which I love. New listings, we'll skip over the ratio here, the 100 new listings, but weekly new listings is important. And here's why we're not too concerned about it. Let me move this up so you can see it. We're this orange line, just like we've been the last couple of charts. Look at what happens every year back to 2019. Going into the holidays, new listings trend downward, right? We talked about this last week and we talked about it a little bit earlier. No one's really paying attention. No one's putting their house on the market over the Christmas holiday. So we expect to see this go down. But what I love is if you look right at the week of 12/25, right? Last year, Christmas, we do see, other than 2019, this gray line, a really, really steep uptick up after that, carrying into the new year, right? We expect to see that in 2023 also. Weekly showings, again, showing the same trend line down. You do see these little peaks and these little valleys here after major holiday events, right? Last year, Thanksgiving, after Christmas, we pop back up in between those spans and then after and before the new year. So I think the thing to remember is, where are we now versus where have we been? The data indicate that things are going to slow down into the holidays. We're seeing that already in new showings requests, right? People requesting to see a house, and new listings, how many houses are actively coming onto the market. We're seeing that recede. Year over year that happens. We might see a little pop up after Thanksgiving. We might see a little pop after Christmas, but I want to see that carry into 2023, just like we talked about last time. So if you're in the US and you celebrate, I hope you have a happy and a healthy Thanksgiving. I hope it's relaxing for you. If you're not in the US, it's happy Thursday, I guess. But otherwise, this is Wednesday, November 23rd. It's your weekly Washington update. My name is Mark, and I will see you next week.